Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today we get to take a look at the 2025 Ford Escape. This is the ST line. Huge shout out to Mooresville Ford for providing this SUV for me today. Take a look at their website. That link is down in the description below. So this Escape is finished off in Vapor Blue Metallic. MSRP is just over $32,000. Now this is powered by a 1.5 liter EcoBoost 3-cylinder engine. It's paired to an 8-speed automatic. It pumps out 180 horsepower, 199 pound-feet of torque. This model is front-wheel drive, weighs in around 3,300 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. It also has a fuel capacity of 14.8 gallons. You'll expect to see around 27 miles per gallon in the city, 34 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 106.7 inches. Its overall length is 180. It has a width of 85.6, a height of 66.1, and its ground clearance is just shy of 7 inches. Now for the Escape lineup, this is more on the base model. There's only one trim level below this, and then there are several that are above this trim level. For the 25-year Model 2, I believe this is the last year for the Escape. So if you like this vehicle, get it while you can. Now up front, you'll notice there's a lot of chrome for this model. It's on the Ford badge along with the top section there, and then there's gloss black for the rest of the surround. There's also a very nice set of headlight housings with the turn signals and high beams, distance pacing sensor in the lower section along with parking sensors too, and then some trim accents on both sides of the bumper there along with some brushed accents in the lower section. There's also a few lines that come down the hood to give it a really nice look. Now you'll notice there's plastic in the lower section of the front bumper. It works its way to the fender arches. It's in the lower side skirt too there. We have a nice set of wheels for this model. There's also the ST line badge and then some plastic for the mirror caps there. No sunroof for this model, but there's some roof racks and then the window trim matches nicely. And then as we work our way to the back, there's a body colored spoiler along with the third brake light. Wiper blade is in the lower section. There's LEDs for the taillights. There's also a backup camera, all of the sensors, the dual exhaust, and this also has the control and the key fob that you can use to open up the power liftgate, or you can just use the button up underneath. And for this smaller SUV, there's actually a good bit of space. So with the back seats up, you could place in a good bit of items. There's even a spare tire and a little bit of storage under the floor where you can place additional items. Now you can fold down the back seats, so that will give you a lot more interior space, making this a practical, smaller size SUV. You only have the one button up top to close the liftgate there. And then working our way to the interior, there's some nice matte black accents, one speaker, storage in that lower section, and a cool design in the upper section there. And then this gets the black with the red stitching and a really neat insert for these seats. This is the control to recline and fold the seat down. And then at 5'10", I have a good bit of space. There's only one storage pocket on the passenger side. You have vents, auxiliaries in the middle, very minimum bulge here for your middle passenger. And then at my height, I have plenty of headroom. So even with the seat reclined here, it's very comfortable for this smaller size. There's also the armrest with 2 cup holders. And then you have a small cargo window there, which you can use to see around this pillar in the back. So it's not all that intrusive for your overall visibility. Now up front, there's lock and unlock, window controls, mirror adjustments, a speaker, and more storage. And then you do have an automatic driver's seat with height adjustments, so you can use that as needed. Now you do have to step over the door sill here, but it's a small vehicle, so it's easy to do. And then we're greeted with a solid and perforated leather steering wheel. Has a flat bottom design to it and red stitching running throughout it, which is nice to see. Now on the left side, there's volume, Bluetooth controls, cruise control settings, distance pacing, and then on the right side, there's Bluetooth, and you have these controls to go over the digital gauge cluster. So you have a little bit of information that you can go through. You can even pull up your menu too, and go through the rest of this information. So you can pull up some of these stats here. You have vehicle maintenance that you can monitor too. Get into your audio, you have phone when that is paired, and then various settings here for your display, so that we can set this up the way that you would like to. So pretty easy to use, going through all of that. And then over on the left side, there is a liftgate release, headlight adjustments, a dimmer switch. There's one air vent, and then working our way to the large infotainment system, by pushing on the home button in the upper left, you get to this split view here, where you even have some info over on the right side. So you can get into the settings to further adjust these as needed. There's also the split design. So you can go through some information over on that right side. You can pull up some features. You have different driving modes that you can get into. So depending on the throttle input that you would like. And then you can easily get back to home and pull up some apps like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So you can pull up those, even YouTube as well. Now the entire lower section is going to be fixed, where you have fan speed along with where you'd like the air to go, temperature dials on both sides, so you can quickly activate all of that information. Really cool carbon fiber like trim accent for this interior with air vents underneath that. There's power and volume. You do have a shortcut to the different driving modes, so you can push on that. There's defrosters, engine start stop, and when you push on this button, that's for the driver assistance, so you can get into those settings there. You do get some auxiliaries down below, along with a little bit of storage. There's 2 cup holders, really nice trim accent that surrounds all of that. When you twist on the rotary dial, you can go into reverse, where you have a few different angles, just depending on how you'd like to see. There's also drive and a low range setting. There's the e-brake with the auto hold, a little bit of storage. You get more in the armrest, plenty in the glove box there, and then the rear view mirror, dome lights, and even a sunglass holder too. And then here's a look at visibility. Like I said, you have that cargo window there, so you can see around that pillar pretty easily over both sides. As we set up behind the wheel now for the Ford Escape, I just finished driving the plug-in hybrid version. So if you want to take a look at that video, that is more of a top trim level, take a look at that separate review. Now we're in more of a base model for the Escape. So there's a huge range for this model that you can go with. And like I mentioned earlier, I think 2025 is the last model year for the Ford Escape. I'm eager to see what is going to replace this if that is the case. But with the Escape in general, this is a really nice vehicle. It's a great smaller size SUV that has a good bit to offer. So if you're not looking for a large vehicle, this is definitely something that can check all of those boxes. It's not too expensive, especially in today's market with the average price of new vehicles. This is well underneath that, depending on the trim that you go with, of course, but they start in the high $20,000 range. So for today's market, again, that is pretty economical, I would say, relatively inexpensive when you compare to everything else. So we have more of the base model for this engine too. We'll give it a small acceleration. I would like to see a little bit more power, but like the plug-in hybrid has a different engine, has some more power. This, I would say, is adequate. If you're not really looking for a lot of power, maybe you want more of that fuel efficiency, but I think it has enough get up and go to it. Personally, I would like the plug-in hybrid power, but it has a good pep to it. And that was just in the normal setting too, so we didn't even put it into sport mode, which we can do for the remainder of this video. And you can feel the throttle input get a little bit more lively, so that is nice to see. They are functional depending on how you like to drive. But this is a great vehicle. I've been able to drive them in my past. My mom currently owns a Ford Escape too, and she's enjoyed that for 4 or 5 years now. That has been her daily driver. It's been a very nice commuter, offers a lot of space for her and her needs. So if you're looking for a smaller size vehicle, this is a good option. It's pretty quiet too. It's something you would expect with how it drives. Not a lot of road noise, wind noise. It's a fairly solid vehicle, even for its relatively inexpensive price. And we are in sport mode. Here we go. And mild acceleration, we're up to speed. So again, it's got a good bit of power for the smaller engine here, for the 3-cylinder. But you can go with a 4-cylinder in some of the higher trim levels. You can also go with all-wheel drive too. So you can get the ST line with all-wheel drive or front-wheel drive, just depending on where you live and which suits you best. But this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for probably the last model year for the Ford Escape. And I think it looks really nice. We have a lot of 25-year model Fords that have this newer screen here, so they all have a relatively similar looking interior for this year, which is nice. I was just in the Bronco Sport too, and we have the same screen, so it kind of gives you a nice vibe across the lineup and what they have. But super solid vehicle. There's really not much else to say. From my mom's ownership experience, I really haven't heard her mention any complaints with it. It's a good daily commuter. She drives it mainly in the city, some highway here and there. So it's definitely a great smaller size vehicle for parking lot situations, even doing a turnaround like that. But it still offers plenty of space to pack in some items and just use it as a utility type vehicle, again, just on that smaller side. But that is going to wrap it up for the 2025 Ford Escape. Once again, a huge shout out to Mooresville Ford for providing this SUV for me today. Take a look at their website, give this video a huge thumbs up if you enjoy it, and consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.